Have you ever seen the movie Evan Almighty? Evan Almighty. Evan Baxter, he's a senator, and Morgan Freeman plays God, and God comes to Evan Baxter or Evan Almighty, Evan Baxter, and says, build me an ark.
Yep.
And I built an ark.
Mm-hmm.
You spell out ark, the act of random kindness.
Act of random kindness.
Okay.
You know, I tell people all the time, Mr. Eddie, I was like, there's people who have been to PAC,
Mm-hmm.
and the people who haven't.
That haven't, yeah.
Seeing everybody come in from all over the country this past weekend.
Right. That's incredible.
It was a cool thing. Because I don't know anybody who kayak fishes who wouldn't want to, who doesn't have a redfish.
Right.
Sight casting a redfish on their bucket list.
Sight casting a redfish.
I mean, that's up there.
Yeah.
That's up there with the tarpon. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really up there. Like, sight casting a redfish, how graphic it is when you see that tail and red.
From start to finish.
Oh.
It takes a while to process it in your head.
Like finding a launch spot and launching with your buddies at a boat ramp or whatever. It's just you and your buddy. You know, you guys go out and launch, you come back, you load up, and you go on your way.
Right.
I think what makes this place special is that there's always people here.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and they're all here for the same purpose. They're all here for kayak fishing.
Right.
And, you know, you head out, someone like will give you some tips on where to go, where they're biting.
We try our best.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we hit it. Sometimes they come in and you can see them grinning when they come around the corner.
Yeah.
And, you know, I live through them. That's what I enjoy out of life, is seeing people come, you know, meeting y'all.
Yeah.
You know, if you and I were to pass each other in the mall 4 years ago, I probably wouldn't have even noticed you.
Yeah.
You know, and PAC it's very unique. Not only do we have a great fishery, we've got a tremendous marsh. The way I look at it is God made Pointe-a-Chan, and I made PAC. I was fortunate enough to retire at a relatively early age, and you know, I said, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And it was Pointe-a-Chan.
Yeah.
So kayaking was the furthest thing from my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I knew kayaks existed, but I didn't know there was a kayak community. Who in the hell would have a kayak community?
Yeah,
you know,
it's weird, right?
I didn't even know that the kayak world existed. I just thought they were these little plastic boats that you can get up in shallow water.
Yep.
You know, so I really it never was in my brain. So we came down here and we decided we were going to be commercial fishermen. So I bought 68 used crab traps because I knew that if I stopped doing anything that I would probably die. So we started commercially fishing, and we were really good at it, and we did that for about 3 years.
Right out of here, right?
Yeah, right out of Pointe-a-Chan, right out of here. No road rage to get to work. We had the coolest office in the world.
Yes, you do.
And my wife Lisa, she would drive the boat, and I would work the traps, dump the crabs, grade them, and everything else, and we made a good living. It was an honest living. Commercial fishing, don't ever let anybody tell you commercial fishing is easy.
No
because
way.
it's not.
Yeah. the eat what you kill lifestyle.
Right.
It's very much
and when the elements keep normal people in, commercial fishermen adjust their wardrobe and they go out in the rain. They go in the cold. They go in the wind. They go in the low water.
Yeah.
You know, because
you got
consumers are waiting for that product.
Yeah, people got to eat,
and it's your responsibility to go get it. So, and we did that. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of free time, and we crabbed 3 days a week. We crabbed Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So, one Tuesday morning, I was setting out here, this very spot.
Yep.
It didn't quite look like this, but it was this spot, and I was drinking my coffee, and right across from us, you know, is a boating marina. So I was sitting out here, and I get a big kick out of watching the boaters launch.
Yep.
Some of them are fun.
The boat ramp fails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget to put the plugs in. Forget to unstrap the boat. Forget to trim the motor down. So many things. So it's a lot of fun to watch. Very entertaining. And so I was sitting here one morning drinking coffee, and I saw this truck pull up, and this guy took this little plastic boat out of the back of it, and he drug it across the concrete, across the gravel, and he slid it down the boat ramp, and he went to get in it, and he slipped on the algae that grows on the boat ramp, and he slipped and he fell and busted up both of his elbows. He had blood running all the way down to his fingers, and the marina owner kind of laughed at him, you know, and he said, you know, why don't you grow up and buy you a real boat? And real sarcastic.
Get you a real boat.
Get you a real boat.
Yeah.
You know, and this guy got his feelings hurt and his pride bruised and everything else, and plus 2 torn up elbows. So he packed up his gear and he left and he went home.
Yeah.
And something clicked. I don't know if you call it divine intervention.
Yeah.
You can call it whatever you want to. But I felt sorry for him.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I said, I had no idea that there was a place, an organization, a kayak community. So I don't know, something was heavy on my heart, and I was off that day. We didn't have anything to do, so we were just hanging out. And I told my wife, I said, I'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to run to the hardware store. So I came back, and I had bought some lumber, and I built this weird little contraption that has drums under it, and it floats up and down, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And she asked me, you know, what are you building? I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just building something.
Kind of winging it, right?
I saw that guy fall, and I said, I want to see something. So I built this little thing that had little reveals in it, and my vision was that guy would never have to fall again. He could pull his kayak up in here and then step out onto the wood.
Yeah.
You know, and she told me I was crazy, and which I probably am in some ways. But I built this thing, and it just sat there, and it was pretty cool. And I figured maybe one day somebody's going to pull up, and maybe I could help them, you know, put their kayak in safely and not have to get wet anymore, and everything else. So there was a guy on a Friday afternoon. He pulled up at the marina across from us, and his name was Dustin Swest. Cool guy.
Dustin Swest?
Dustin Swest. He's born and raised, grew up in Pointe-aux-Chenes. He's been in these waters his entire life. And he pulled up, and he's one of these paddleboard guys. And I didn't know there was such thing as a paddleboard. So he went to take his paddleboard out, and he just kind of looked over, and he saw this weird little contraption floating in the water. And I watched him, and he slid his paddleboard back over his tailgate, and he got in his truck, and he drove around. And he pulled up and asked me, he said, what is that thing in the water? And I said, look, I'm not being sarcastic or smart ass or anything. I said, I don't know, what is it? And he said, well, it looks like some kind of kayak launch or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, okay, we'll call it a kayak launch. And he said, can I launch here? And I said, sure. I said, that's why I built it. I built it for you. And he looked at me kind of strange, but he said, how much? I said, I don't know. I hadn't even thought about charging to launch a kayak.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what do y'all normally pay when you launch your boat? And he said, we normally pay $5. And I said, that's fine. Yeah, $5, you know. So he launched his paddle board and he went out, and he came back in about 2.5 hours later. He had his limit of redfish, and he asked me if he could take some pictures because he's in a lot of kayak clubs, a lot of kayak organizations, and he said, this is pretty cool. Do you mind if I share this? I said, sure. So he took some pictures of it, and he shared it on Facebook, and that following Saturday, 13 kayakers showed up that following Saturday and just wanted to launch.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know how to take that. I didn't know there were that many people in the world that had kayaks. But I had a guy from Baton Rouge a while back. He came out and was asking me, you know, how this thing started. And I said, well, I could tell you a long story. I said, but basically, have you ever seen the movie Evan Almighty?
Evan Almighty.
Evan Almighty. Evan Baxter, he's a senator, and Morgan Freeman plays God. And God comes to Evan Baxter or Evan Almighty, Evan Baxter, and says, you know, build me an ark.
Yep.
And I built an ark. You spell out ark, the act of random kindness.
Act of random kindness.
Okay.
Yep.
And basically that's how this thing started. It was an act of random kindness. If it had been 30 seconds later and I wouldn't have seen that guy fall,
yeah, none of this.
As God is my witness,
yeah.
PAC would probably not be here.
Yeah, yeah.
Because what most people can't fathom is I'm not a kayaker.
Yeah.
I'm not. I just saw that there was a need for something.
Yep.
And I think that's why people come here is, number one, they're treated like family.
Yeah.
We know everybody on first name basis. You're welcome here. If you don't have it, I'll loan it to you to make your trip better. We treat everybody like family, and
that's the truth.
And that's what makes us who we are.
I think it's a big deal because, like, I was thinking last night, I was like, I'm trying to think of another place, like, location wise, that a kayak specific launch, an area
right.
to hang out and kind of bond with other kayak anglers could
right.
exist. And this place is just perfect. Like, the positioning of it, you can go north, you can go south, and there's miles and miles of marsh that you could kayak to.
All the way from here to Grand Isle. Yeah.
Here, it's like this web. Like it's a hub that you can head out.
Yeah. You can go all directions. It's centrally located. It's kind of like nested in the middle of a candy store.
Yeah, and I was thinking through it. I was like, I don't know any other places where this could be set up.
Now people don't have to drive back and forth every day. They can spend a night.
No, that's the cool thing.
It's great during the summer when all of our RVs or lots are full, and somebody will be barbecuing over here.
Yep.
And one of our friends will come up. Well, man, I got some jalapenos wrapped in bacon. You know, can I put that on the grill? And before long, it turns into like a potluck.
A potluck, yeah.
You know, and everybody's together, and it's a huge extended family.
It is.
You know, people come from all over the country. They come from all over the world. They come here, and I serve them my black and redfish.
Yeah, that's
okay.
the best. That's the
and
best.
I know that's why you come back.
Yes,
I know that's why you come back.
It is.
Black and redfish.
I come here for the food.
You know, it's the food. It's the fellowship.
Yep.
You know, we sit around and sure, some of it's lies.
Yeah.
You know, but still, if you can't lie to your friend, who can you lie to? You know, so it's family. And
that's what was the cool thing here. It's like, I remember, I think it was my first week here, and we had been fishing all day, and I was just kind of just sitting here relaxing before I head back to the van, and I was going to go back and eat a protein bar and edit some videos.
Right.
And then Scott Ekis tapped me on the shoulder, right? He's like, He goes, don't you go off and eat. We're about to have a crab boil.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
And then so I ended up going back to my van to go grab my camera.
Uh-huh.
But they had just literally got their boat,
Caught.
Dustin's boat, right? And they brought back, a whole tub full of crabs.
Yeah,
He's like, there it is. They're
that's
still
what's
moving.
great about Poinciana. Hey, what are we going to do for supper?
Yeah.
Y'all want to boil some crab?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll boil
fresh
some crab.
crab.
I'll be back in a little bit. And you go out and you drop your nets. You get your 4 dozen big, massive blue crab.
Yeah.
And you bring them in. And somebody bought 10 pounds of shrimp from one of the shrimpers.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you the story.
And then before long, you got shrimp, you got crab.
You got a whole spread.
My brother-in-law, he boiled some crawfish. Bring them over. And before long, you had this feast that only God could provide.
Yeah, and it all happened impromptu, just out of nowhere.
Right.
Like, I remember I was sitting here, and what's that retired military, the veteran that lives here?
Mr. Larry.
Mr. Larry.
Mr. Larry.
So Mr. Larry comes here. He's got a cooler, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's full of shrimp. And he comes up to me. He goes, his lead up was so funny, Mr. Eddie. He goes, I promise this is legal, right? That's his opening line, right? He's like, you see that boat over there? He's like, well, it was stolen and they got it back. He goes, and they have all these coolers of shrimp that they're trying to get rid of. He's like, my freezer is full. Do you guys want any shrimp?
Right.
And I didn't know if he was selling it or whatever. I had never met him, right? He's like, oh, if it's free shrimp, we'll grill it right now. And then we had
throw it on the grill.
We threw it on the grill. So those are my 2 food memories from here on my first trip here.
You can come here with nothing and you're going to leave with a full belly.
Yeah. And it's so much like, that's why I love Louisiana so much personally, because it's so much like island culture.
Mm-hmm.
So islanders will feed you.
Right.
Even if you're hungry or not. You say, are you hungry? You say no. It's like, oh, I brought some food out anyways.
It's like when you go to your mama's house.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Mama's not going to let you leave hungry.
Yep.
She's gonna cook you something.
And even if you just take it with you, she's gonna give you some food. Like,
now I understand what the kayak community is. The key word being community. You help each other, and
you know what the common thread is? I've thought about this a lot. For someone to get into kayak fishing is a lot harder way to fish than say hopping on a boat or fishing from the bank. Like, kayak anglers are doers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very manual.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're either paddling or pedaling, and then you have this blank canvas of a kayak that you've got to rig up and figure out how you want it. So there's a personality type that's already drawn to kayak.
Yeah, you grow with your kayak.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's a connection. There's an old school spirit. There's a old school doer mentality. It's like that. I'm saying, even though you started PAC not as a kayaker, when you connected with that person, it's like you're both doers, and you see a need. You see something that needs to be done, and you go out, walk around Home Depot or whatever, and you figure it out. And I know so many kayakers, like me in particular. I'll go into Home Depot with, like, here's the problem I need to solve. And I'll just wander to aisles and gathering.
You might find it in home and garden. You might find it in electrical.
You just repurpose stuff and figure stuff out. And that's really where I connected with you, is like when you were walking around showing me the setup and the slides. Like, I just thought it was so cool because, you connect with people that think like you and act like you. And that's what's interesting. Like you were saying, like, if me and you ran across each other in the mall, we probably wouldn't have any connection.
We probably wouldn't even make eye contact.
No. Yeah. But that's the beauty of this. And I remember I gave you a We Out Here shirt, right? The tie-dye.
Right, the tie-dye. Yeah.
And the story behind We Out Here is, like, We Out Here is like a California catchphrase, right? And it used to be people that used to skate. Right? And they'd go out there and find their little skate spot, and their whole catchphrase is like, we out here, right? As opposed to people on the couch or whatever. They're out there in the world doing that.
They're living life.
So what was cool about that is, like, I took that about being outside, right? And more than that is like, we out here is a connection. Like if I say me and you are out here, we're connected by this activity,
Mm-hmm.
by this lifestyle, by this
Right.
love for the marsh or whatever. So when you say we out here, me and you are connected
Right.
through that activity or through this thing we enjoy together.
Mhm.
All our differences, all that doesn't matter because we're connected by that.
That's right.
And that's what's so cool here this past weekend, seeing all the people, all the diversity, all the ages, male, female, kids, older gentlemen. Like everybody was out here connected through kayak
Right.
fishing, you know?
This weekend was phenomenal. You know, we have, every weekend is great for us, but this weekend was special. We had not only did we have our championship invitational kayak tournament to end off our season series, but we also had the Yak Tribe National Meetup was here. And I think I didn't get a final count, but we had to have had over 100 kayakers.
Over
here.
100, yep.
Over 100 kayakers in this little bitty spot, this little speck on the map.
Yeah.
And
It was amazing.
They come here not only for the fishing, but for the community. They come here for the fellowship.
Yeah.
Heath came here a few years ago. He's with Yak Tribe. So Heath came here, him and his wife and his two awesome little kids. Yeah,
and he ain't never left.
Never left.
Well, he keeps coming back.
He leaves, but he always comes back.
Yeah.
So, and we have a lot of fun. Heath brings new meaning to community.
Yeah.
And you know, the Yak Tribe, they get together and somebody took a spill, you know, in Grand Isle. They lost all their gear.
Yeah.
Can't afford new gear. The Yak Tribe as a community, they step in.
Yeah.
And they help.
Yeah.
Everybody's got an extra fishing rod laying around. You know, and it might not be new stuff, but it's new to him.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they help him get back on the water.
That's what's so cool. Like they call it synergy, right? Like the whole connection between PAC and Yak Tribe is so strong because they both embody each other.
Right.
You know, to have this community where you can physically all be here. You can stay here.
You're right. Yeah.
And I can guarantee you, just like me after my first trip, I was like, I'm coming back here and I'm going to try to spend as much time here as I possibly can.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And I know it's changed my life because like I know this place exists. So every time I need that kind of break and that getaway, like I know I can go back here, get back in touch with real
There you go.
real life.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm an outsider. We like to play out